Namaste, my dear friends, and welcome to this video session where we are going to explore the Bija mantras of Shakti and how do they relate to the Mahavidyas of Tantric Yoga. So let's begin. Let's share the Bija mantra of Tara, which is Om. She's the second goddess of the Dasa Mahavidyas in Tantric Yoga. Take a breath in. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And as you exhale, release the pose. So just as there are Bija mantras for the chakras, which we are exploring in our practice and we've looked at from a theoretical point of view, there are also Shakti mantras. So these are mantra sounds, vibrations that are directly related to Shakti or Prakriti. So let's look at them. There are 10. Om, which represents pranic energy. Remember, prana is the life force. It's all around us. And it is the first manifestation in Samkhya philosophy. Aim represents the energy of sound. So what is sound? Sound is simply the manifestation of even a more subtle energy. So if we remember our lecture on Om, Om is the manifestation of the power and consciousness of Purusha or of Shiva. And Aim is another way to represent the energy of sound from the female point of view or the Shakti Prakriti point of view, manifestation. Hrim is solar energy. Shrim is lunar energy. So we can go back to our lecture on the Pingala and Ida Nadi, the solar and the lunar Nadi. Solar energy is often related to Shiva or Purusha. Lunar energy is often related to Prakriti or Shakti. Cream represents electric energy. Now, for those who have studied the Dasa Mahavidyas, these representations, these words are going to have meaning for you because remember, electric energy is energy of a catalyst. It's bringing about a change. It's bringing about a process. Clean is magnetic energy. So that's the energy of attraction. Hum, the power of fire, transformation, process. Halim, the energy to stop, to bring things to a standstill. Stream represents the power to stabilize. So we are stabilizing perhaps energies that are in flux. It is being stabilized, it is being sustained at a certain level. Treem represents the energy of transformation. Remember, when we talk about chakra meditation, at least in this workshop, we are focusing on meditation for spiritual awakening and enlightenment, refinement, more than we're talking about the physical world and personality traits and affecting the physical body in our waking state, in our dreams, and even part of our dream state. That can be a very important part of your chakra meditation, absolutely. But I feel that that kind of information is already out there in the world and more accessible than the approach that we're taking in this workshop, where all these words that we just spoke about, energy, solar, lunar, electric, magnetic, power to stop, to stabilize. This is in the context of spiritual awakening. The spiritual awakening is within the subtle energy body, within sound vibrations, within the nadi and chakra system, which remember is simply a template for prana to flow. Just keep that in mind as we go through the lecture today. Om represents the upward movement of consciousness. So remember, consciousness is another way to say perception. How do we perceive the world around us? We can perceive the world around us in our waking state through our five senses and the processing, the intellectual processing in our brain. That's one level. But as we refine our perception and become more aware of a deeper perception within our unconscious mind, whether it's an active or latent unconscious mind, that is the movement. That's what we call the upward movement of Om. That perception of how do we perceive the world as we move from the realm of the waking state to the more deeper states of consciousness. Aim, that sound vibration represents the creative aspect of the power of knowledge and guidance. So here think Shakti, especially from the tantric point of view. Why is there the power of Shakti? Why do we have the power of Prakriti? And why do we perceive her? In many of the Vedic literature and yogic literature, she exists to help us through this world of Maya, through this world of the physical manifestation of life, to understand that there's more. She gives us the lessons, the power of knowledge, and she guides us to know who we really are. So we take these lessons on this physical plane and we refine our level of self-awareness to understand who we really are. That's why she is the creative aspect. Hrim is the illuminating power of reflection. So this is said throughout the Bhagavad Gita, in different Vedic literature, and in the sutras, power of reflection. We use our intellectual capacity to reflect, to have those quiet moments of inner reflection, to move beyond simply operating and living in this physical world. Shrim represents the power of reflection paired with devotion. Now, this is quite interesting, I find, especially, again, if you've read the Gita, in parts of the Sutra, and definitely in the Vedas, they talk a lot about devotion. What is devotion? For you, define what is devotion. And then pair that with reflection. And see how reflection changes, how the nuances of the time you spend in reflection changes when you have devotion. And devotion is quite a big word when you think about it. It denotes, it implies practice over a long time with focus, right? Cream represents the powers of transformation. So what are we transforming in the spiritual world, which is yoga meditation, which is chakra meditation? What are we transforming? We're transforming our perception of how we perceive the world, how we perceive ourselves, how we perceive ourselves in this drama of life that we are in. Clean, that vibration of clean, represents the nature of the power of love and attraction. Now, sometimes when we think of love and attraction, we go right back into the waking state of awareness, and we think of the love for family members or siblings or a partner, or something here in the physical world. But there's also a more spiritual kind of a love and a spiritual kind of attraction. So you can work on both levels of awareness when you chant clean. Hum Hum represents a power that can remove negativity and purify. Okay, what are we talking about? What's negative? What do we mean by purifying? Well, let's go back to that short lecture on the Sushumna channel, the Pingala, and the Ida nadis. Remember when prana is flowing through the Pingala and Ida, there is a movement of dualism. So there is attraction, there is repulsion, there is the process of our brain creating emotional thoughts and actions and habits, and it's always in flux. Hum, that vibration hum, serves to remove some of the obstacles of the flow of prana within those two nadis, but it helps then to purify that flow of prana. And instead of staying in the Pingala and the Ida nadis and all the offshoots that they have, it takes that vital energy into the Sushumna channel for spiritual awakening. Hum. So that hum has that kind of power. Hlim is the power of stabilization. So again, let's look at the Pingala and Ida nadis, stabilization. We just said that when the prana is flowing through those two nadis, it's always in flux in terms of speed and density and quality. So we want to stabilize that energy. So chanting Halim helps with that. Now, as I'm saying this, do your best not to start thinking in dualistic terms. There's nothing bad about the prana flowing in the Pingala and Ida. It serves a purpose, just like all of Prakriti serves a purpose. It's not bad in and in itself, okay? It's just that from a spiritual point of view and a philosophical point of view, I'm just sharing these concepts with you. In your practice, you will start noticing the flow of prana in how you view it and what you want to do with it. But it's not bad in and itself to have that flow and that flux, okay? Stream is the power of conception and to sustain. So once we've stabilized the prana, you want to sustain it and keep it flowing on an even keel. Treem, which is also part of the goddess Tara, represents the power to cross over and ascend. And these are really interesting words. And if you were in our workshop where one of our participants, her name is Annette, she talked a lot about crossover. And I think she gave a really nice perspective of what it means to cross over. Because a lot of times in yoga, we talk about the ascension, the spiritual awakening is going up. And she really gave a nice definition of saying, no, maybe we're crossing over the obstacles to change and refine our levels of self-awareness and perception. So these Shakti Bija mantras embody the powers that I've just described. Let's look a little closer now at some of them and their relationships to chakras. So when we think chakras, all right, go back to some of the previous lectures and think, okay, the Muladhara chakra, the earth element is prescribed to that chakra. The bija sound is lam. Some of the characteristics of earth element are stabilization, inertia, support, foundation. And let's now take the bija, Shakti Bija of Hum. Hum is the activation of fire. So it can be used as a catalyst, that sound, Hum. Hum projects fire energy along all the chakras in an upward direction. So Hum is commonly associated with Manipura and Ajna chakra. Manipur, okay, that absolutely makes sense, right? Because we always think of Manipur as fire transformation, but also Ajna, right? The third eye, the intellect, spiritual awakening and transformation. So Hum is associated with Manipur and Ajna chakra, and it is an upward movement along all of the chakras. The Shakti mantra, Asrim. Asrim is a lunar energy, right? So it is cooling, nurturing, and guiding. It has a downward directional flow. So the energy, the quality of energy that Srim embodies is downward. And why is that? Because in yogic philosophy, the soma, the energy of soma, has to descend from top of the head, the crown chakra, down to the Muladhara chakra, where the kanda is. The kanda is like it's a word for bulb, actually, where the energy of Kundalini lies dormant. That energy of Kundalini needs to be awakened with the help of the downward energy of Srim. So spiritual awakening happens first with downward energy to awaken the kanda so that it can then rise up through the chakras, unobstructed by the dualistic attractions of the Pingala and Ida Nadi. Cream. Now, cream is the energy of electricity, of a spark, of activation. It is a catalyst. Cream is associated with the Muladhara, Manipura, and Ajna chakras. So if we chant cream, prescribe the energy of cream to each of the chakras, bring your mental focus to each chakra, you are lending that power of electricity, of activation to the Muladhara, and then let's say you're moving up to the Muladhara, Svadhisthana, Manipura, Anahata, Vishuddhi, and Ajna. You're activating the energy there, or the qualities. You're activating the qualities at each one of those chakras. Or maybe you're just using one. Maybe you're focusing on just one. You're activating the energy of the Anahata by adding cream to your focus, into a mantra of Anahata. Kleem, okay, this is the energy of bringing things together and to strengthen. So it is the energy of magnetism, of attracting things to it. So when we think of magnetism, it could also be the concept of worship and devotion. It's most commonly found, the Shakti Kleem, the Shakti mantra, at the Anahata chakra. So it has a power of magnetism and cohesion, bringing things together. Aim, Om, and Aum are Shakti mantras. Aim is considered the feminine counterpart of Om. Because remember, Om, when uttered, when manifested, is the manifestation of the powers of Purusha within Prakriti. You get it? So in Prakriti, when we see Om, the manifested Om, the sound, that is the manifestation of the subtle potential energy of Purusha. Aim is the feminine counterpart, sorry, of Om. Aim is the power of knowledge and guidance, which is what the qualities of Shakti are. Aim is related to the Vishuddhi and Ajna and crown chakra. Now, this is an important concept. Aim is associated with the concept and the element of space. So what does it mean? What does space, what does it mean when we focus the energy and the concept of space to a certain chakra? Space can be viewed as encompassing certain qualities. It can be viewed as infinite space. So when we focus on a certain chakra, on a certain element, on those characteristics and qualities of that element, what are we doing? We are allowing more space, more expansion of those qualities, of that element. So we're being more open, we're expanding our perception. So let's look at the Manipura chakra. Element is fire. So when I focus the power of space, onto the element of fire, I am lending that element of transformation more space, more expansion, so that my perception of what transformation is, how I experience, will become bigger. That's how we can look at the power of I'm in terms of space. Stream and Tream hold the quality of expansion and movement. Movement both up and down the chakras. So again, thinking about that concept of space, what that means when we add it to the element, to a chakra. Now let's add the power of expansion and movement. So again, we are expanding and growing our perception upon a certain chakra element, and we are lending the power of movement so that we're not stuck. Sometimes when we think about chakra meditation, we talk in terms of obstacles. So this is another way you can look at it. Let's say the prana is stuck at the Anahata chakra. So what does that mean? We can say that that means that the flow of prana, dualism, Pingala Ida, movement in flux. It could be moving slowly or in fits and starts. It's not nice and smooth. So the quality of air, which is the element prescribed to the Anahata chakra, which has the qualities of expansion and circulation, is stuck. So I can add the powerful vibrations of Stream and Tream to my focus on the Anahata chakra to lend the powers of movement and get the prana to flow more smoothly. Hasao is a pranic mantra. So what does that mean? Prana is vitality, the life force. So it is the energy to stimulate the khandha, which is found at the kundalini, the powers of the kundalini. That ends our lecture here. For some of you, this may be new information, and it takes a while to understand it intellectually. But what I really urge you to do your practice. Just keep doing your practice. And whether you understand all of this right now or not, don't worry about it. It will come. Just keep doing your practice. And these sound vibrations will help you intellectualize the lectures and understand what's going on, because it will help you focus and concentrate. But it also, just as we just said, will open and expand your powers of perception. So thank you very much. And I look forward to seeing you in our next video. Let's bring our hands together. And now with a better understanding of Om, let us share the pranava one time. Take a breath in. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namaste. Thank you, and I'll see you in our next video. Have a good day.